Guys, let's back up. All right, let's go way, way back in time. But there used to be a time it was very important that your village had a good fighter. If they could have two good fighters, or they could even put something that was eventually called a militia, which turned into an army. If they could put that together, boy, was that ever important. Because if somebody else came to your area, they weren't only going to take your property and your land, they were going to take your life. Serious stuff here. Now, they didn't have guns. They weren't going to slip in and shoot everything. They were going to fight. They could bring whatever they could carry. Whether that was a rock or a stick, and eventually they came up with something called a knife and even turned that into a sword over time. But it was very important to have a very good fighter. It's not as important anymore. I mean, in all fairness, in the sport that we do, it's not as important. We don't have any land, and we don't have any life, and we don't need to take property from somebody. So we put out something called a belt. We throw the belt out there, and we've been surprised how guys will come from all around to fight over that belt. I'm one of them. The psychology works. Dedicated my life to trying to get that belt, which is just a marketing tool and a replacement for what used to be in yesteryear something that was extremely important. Now, I tell you that because when you're promoting, you're telling a story and nothing more. A great promoter is a great storyteller. A big fight has a story that people like. That's it. But when you don't have help, when the guys don't know how to promote, when something the kids call social media didn't exist, and even if you did know how to promote, you had no opportunity to do it. It had to be done in-house. It had to be done by the promoter. That was the only thing that was going to be heard or seen. You can tell one hell of a story with a visual known as a poster if you put a belt up. The little old lady in Iowa will know, oh, that's a big match. That's a championship match. It wouldn't matter if that was a state belt. We got regional belts. You got the intercontinental belt. Doesn't make a goddamn bit of difference. If you have a belt, you're now telling a better story. We understand that, though, right? I need to make really sure that we do understand that. Because the belt isn't looked at too much more than that. By example, the biggest stars in our sport right now do not have a belt. Conor McGregor. Red Panty Night is still real, and he is still king around here. Does not have a belt. Are we aware of that? All right. George Masvidal. Nate Diaz. I put Nick in there. I don't know if he's still fighting. Nick's still a massive star. Massive. You guys care. They not only don't have belts, 3 of them have never had a belt. None of them won their last fight. Oh, none of them have even won their last 2 fights, because Nick also had the Anderson. Do you get my point, though? We care about people. I'm attempting to start at square one to prove to you, in case you're one of these people who go, no, I'm not, Chael. I want the best guy against the best guy. I know a lot of you think that. A lot of you really think that you're the purist. And that those records really matter. I know you think that about yourself. I'll let you know you're wrong. You're wrong about yourself. We care about the people. And this sport and this industry is in a vastly different time than whoever the first brilliant promoter was that threw the belt out there. They had medals back then. Some guys were doing rings. Trophies are still a thing. None of them work. None of them work like that belt. Great. Killer marketing tool. We still care about people. Now, I got to tell you that because we got 205-pounders that are fighting for an opportunity to fight for a belt. They have made this crystal clear. Jon Blachowicz is beside himself right now. He's beside himself because Jiří Procházka has publicly said, I hope the fight goes to Glover. Glover has publicly asked for an opportunity to reclaim a championship from the same guy that he gave that opportunity to. Those are good arguments. Those are compelling arguments. Those arguments suck. In comparison to, I want to fight this person. Jon Blachowicz having a personal problem with Jiří Procházka. And that could come from anything. From something that happened in the back. We want a true story. Don't manufacture something for us. If something happened, bring it to our attention. And even if something didn't happen in the back, even if there's not a personal story, a stare, a glance. Rashad Evans fought in a main event against Thiago Silva. By the way, this was a main event. At the time when Rashad did this, the only guys that were getting main events were champions. Rashad fought Thiago Silva in a sold-out arena that did very good ratings because Thiago Silva gave Rashad a look in the back. And Rashad did an entire paragraph on what that look meant. They went to Thiago, and Thiago admitted he gave him that look, and that Rashad did interpret it. They fought in a main event. This is a big deal. You're seeing main events every Saturday night. At the time that this happened, so when I tell you, if you got anything, if it's real, if it means something to you, and it did mean something to him, Rashad did not like that look. He didn't like the time that he did it. He didn't like what that was about. That was real. He brought it to our attention. If anything like that happened, Jon needs to be bringing it to our attention. It sounds like it didn't. Jon has the right to be pissed off right now at the mere fact that Jiří Procházka is going after a 42-year-old instead of him. Jiří Procházka promised that he would fight Jan Blachowicz. He did that in writing on something called Twitter. I saw it. Now, Procházka has the right to change his mind. I'm not against Procházka here. I'm speaking to the fact that if that pissed Jon off, come and tell us. Tell us something real. Tell us something straight. But tell me about him. The only reason this is still a balancing act is Glover going to get it. Is Jon going to get it? Are we going to look for Ankalaev versus Lionheart? Which, quite frankly, is the one we should be looking to. But the only reason this is treading water is because all of them are making the same mistake. You got three guys battling for something. If two guys want to make it about the belt, they want to make it about resumes, they want to make it about what's right and wrong, and one other guy comes in and it's personal against you. By the way, the belt is a byproduct. I give a goddamn that you got it. I'm coming after you. There's nothing to see here. These are now not close comparisons in the least. And I'm watching these 205 pounds and I'm watching them make the same mistake. I want to get on board with somebody. I'm on board with Lionheart now because he's the only one that is fighting for it. Literally stopping every idea in its tracks, making sure that the promotion is aware that he has a big 205-pound championship coming up, making sure that the promotion does not step in front of anything and award it to Glover or award it to Jon because it will take away from his upcoming fight. He's using the politics, he understands it, and he's fighting for something. I'm rolling with him. But you guys are still undecided. I have tried to get on board with Jon. I like him. I always found Jon to be dull. Personal story, I found him to be a little bit dull. They did a piece on him before his last fight, which is he coming off a loss, right? Hard spot, lost his championship. They did a piece on him. They went to his hometown. They filmed it. I like him. I'm on board. He's not a dull guy. He just hasn't got out there. I'm on board with Jon, but he's not giving me anything. And I can't turn on Procházka. Procházka just gave us the greatest light heavyweight fight of all time. It replaced Gustafsson and Jon Jones. In my mind, that was the greatest part one light heavyweight fight I've ever seen. It's now that one. So I can't be against Procházka. I can't be against him saying I'll fight a guy who was only 20 seconds away from beating him in the first place. He's not looking for an easy fight. I do have a problem with him promising Jon, appearing to take that back, and I have a problem with him going after a 42-year-old. I just don't think perception is there. I read a number of comments from you guys, so, well, of course he's going after him. It was not a clear fight. He needs to make it clear. That's not how anything works. And you don't mean that in your own life. That's another stupid thing that you say that you want. What have you ever done in your life that's the hardest thing that you've done and you want to go do it again? It's just a stupid thing to say. Nobody remembers how hard that fight was. Nobody remembers that if 20 more seconds had gone by, they were going to raise Glover hands. Nobody even knows that the judges turned that in and that Glover was winning on the cards. So you telling me that Procházka's got to write this? It doesn't matter if it's by an inch or it's by a mile. If you win, you move on. Same way as you guys do in your life. But you've come out, as some of you have been very accepting of the fact that he's calling out a 42. It's a weird thing. Go ahead and fight him. He already did it once. You can go ahead and fight him. You can go ahead and accept. I have a problem that he called him out. And moreover, the reasoning. The reason, oh boy, it sure was a good fight. This isn't 9-year-old Little League. Sportsmanship doesn't count. Participation doesn't count. It's not what we're doing here. George Masvidal, Conor McGregor, both the Diaz boys, easily the biggest stars we have in this sport, easily the biggest stars. Colby Covington, easily far and away. Dustin Poirier, far and away. Justin Gaethje, Tai Tuivasa. None of them are the champion. None of them are undefeated. One of them won their last fight. Don't tell me you want to see the best against the best. You want to see a person versus a person that has a problem. You ever stumbled on a fight, playground, sidewalk, anything like that, and one guy didn't want to be there? These guys didn't have a real beef. The crowd was kind of pushing them into it. It doesn't feel right. Not a good feeling. Why do you want to be here? What did this person do? What does it mean to you? What is he attempting to take away from you? How did he look at you in the back, which Rashad Evans sold an arena out with? I don't give a goddamn what it is. If you don't have a problem with him, why am I behind you? It's all equal to me. Oh, Glover's going to fight Procházka? That sounds like a good fight. That'll be for the belt. Oh, Jan's going to fight Procházka. Oh, the former champion. Oh, that sounds like a good fight. That's for the belt. You're even. You're dead even. Lionheart's doing all he can do, which to defend everybody off and at least get to this moment. But when Lionheart gets there, I assure you, he's not going to make it about the belt. He's going to make it about you, Procházka. And that might make Lionheart the bad guy. That might make him booed. But it'll also make him your next opponent.